The Los Angeles Chargers have just thrown us all for a loop. As free agency kicks off, we're entering the tampering period. It's a bit of a gray area, but essentially, the madness has begun. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more updates. Now, let's talk about what's been happening. As a fan, it's tough to watch other teams making moves and grabbing players left and right, while your team's sitting still. I get it. It's frustrating. From an outsider's point of view, this whole situation is wild. Take a look at the top 100 free agents and where they're going. It feels like everyone is making moves, while we're still waiting to see what the Chargers will do next. One bright spot is that the Chargers did re-sign Khalil Mack, which is great news, no doubt about it. But the big question remains. What's next? What's on the horizon for this team with all this money to spend? Meanwhile, teams like the Rams are snatching up players like Ford for their defensive line. The question is, who will the Chargers bring in to fill that gap? There's a lot to keep an eye on, especially with all that potential and money on the table. Looking at the top 10 free agents, it seems like most of them are just returning to their old teams. And honestly, it's kind of predictable. You can see their ages, their moves, and it's like, okay, we knew that was coming. Meanwhile, the Chargers have re-signed a few players, but there are still gaps in positions that need attention. Safety, tackle, and even more guards. There are plenty of options out there, but it's hard not to wonder why the Chargers haven't made a bigger splash. For example, Kevin Zeitler from the Lions was someone I had my eye on, but he's been snapped up. Some of the other guards have already been taken too, which makes you question the Chargers' strategy. And then, just when you think it can't get any crazier, Ford heads to the Rams. What's going on here? The only bit of news we've gotten is that the Chargers are reportedly pursuing Najee Harris. As much as I love that, it's clear that we need more. A solid running back, plus a wide receiver to really make an impact. It's frustrating seeing other teams make moves while the Chargers seem to be holding back. We're just one day into free agency, but I thought we'd see at least one or two more moves by now. What's frustrating you the most about all of this? Let me know. I'm curious to hear what's bothering you. Looking around at the Commanders and other teams, it's clear that not much is happening on day one of free agency. And here's the truth. Nobody who's active right away really ends up winning free agency. We all know this by now. Teams that go big on day one, throwing money at big names, often end up regretting it. The franchises that tend to make a lot of noise early are usually the ones who are struggling, trying to save face and appease frustrated fans by spending big. But it almost never works out in the long run. That being said, I don't think the Chargers should just sit around and do nothing. They've got the cap space, and they definitely have some holes to fill, especially when it comes to offensive weapons. There's no reason not to make a couple of smart, calculated moves. Sure, they don't need to go all out and make huge splashes on day one, but they can't afford to be completely passive either. I've heard it said before, and I'll repeat it. Sometimes it feels like a team just has to make a move, even if it's the wrong one. It's like when you're stuck outside on a cold day, and you know you can't stay there. You have to do something, even if it's not the perfect solution. That's the spot the Chargers find themselves in right now, waiting, but needing to act. As we approach the nicer weather here in the Midwest, it's that time of year when you just feel the need to get out and do something. Anything. After being cooped up through the cold winter months, it feels like you've been waiting forever for a chance to make a move. That's exactly how it feels with the offseason. We've been stuck in limbo, unable to sign players or make trades, but now, finally, the doors are open. It's the perfect opportunity for the Chargers to improve their team. Yet, they've chosen to stay still. And this is where this channel comes in. It's easy to get frustrated as a fan and start doubting everything, thinking, what are we even doing? Why aren't we making moves? An outsider might tell you to relax, saying it's no big deal. But deep down, we know it's a mistake for the Chargers not to be more active. It's clear they're not doing enough to take advantage of this moment. Looking at all the available free agents, it's hard not to feel disappointed. We were hoping for at least one or two bigger names to sign. And yet, here we are. watching many of those names slip away. Sure, there are still a ton of free agents left, so don't lose hope. But man, it's tough to not feel like we're falling behind. The frustration is real, and I think most of us were expecting a little more action by now. What are we waiting for? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you're new here, welcome. We're big Jim Harbaugh supporters, and it's been fun to talk about all the possibilities, especially with the Chargers having so much cap space and a solid draft pick lineup. The potential is there. They just need to pull the trigger and bring in some new talent. Yes, it's only day one of free agency, and I'm trying to keep calm, but come on, at some point, you've got to make a move. I'm hoping we see more action soon. As of now, there's not much to report, aside from Khalil Mack re-signing, which is great news. But what's next? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to hear how you feel about the Chargers offseason so far. Catch you all in the next one.